comments on Ms. Cicero's presentation. I got a copy of it, and I'm just taking a moment now to make a couple of comments on it, because I consider it to be a very important, very important testimony, and that it describes really one of the reasons that we're in this situation. That we haven't taken the time or made the effort to look at that question of sustainability. In my opinion, it's the city really has been geared up year after year after year to work off of the next housing cycle, and we haven't really focused on how it is we're going to generate revenues as a city. And so I think it's fundamental. I got to tell you, it was one of the reasons, major reasons, that I opposed the previous budgets, and why I have trouble with these recommendations is that there's nothing that addresses, in our budget documents, there's nothing that addresses that fundamental problem. And we never talk about it. We never get to it. And so I would ask, you know, in what way were we preparing for this downturn in the housing market? I mean, was there anybody who doubted that it would come? You know, we knew it would. We, of course, didn't know when it would come, but really the point is that in this document and in every other document, we've never really addressed that. We've never seen, okay, well, we're going to get through this one, we'll make the cuts necessary, but are we going to position ourselves so that the next cycle isn't so damaging to our city operations and the services that we need to provide to our residents? And so I think that's a fundamental flaw in the way that we've done business in Chula Vista. And I really appreciate her comments, because she's talking about, you know, those developments in eastern Chula Vista. She's not talking about, you know, let's get some more fees from those developers. She's not saying that. She's saying, in fact, the opposite. And I don't believe that we should be getting new fees from developers, because it's not about that. That only drives up the cost of housing. It's about changing the way we do business in Chula Vista. We have to recognize, we have to come to grips with Proposition 13. It's not that, since Proposition 13, we can no longer rely on those property tax revenues. We need to find alternative ways of doing things in Chula Vista if we're going to bring the services that our citizens demand. And that's the way to do it. It's not going to be by raising taxes. It's not going to be by, you know, by imposing new sales tax. It's going to be about really thinking about economic development and how we do it in Chula Vista. And so I want to take that moment, Madam Mayor. I'll keep my comments brief later on so that to make up for my time here. So I thank you for the opportunity.
You do.
Because I mean, I don't know if I guess I didn't make my point. It's really not about fees. It's not about that. It's about changing the way we do business in Chula Vista. It's about economic development, real economic development, jobs, and those sorts of things, and not just relying on the next housing cycle to get us out of our jam. The point is that it's not sustainable. Housing development is not sustainable. We need to think of other ways of bringing revenue so that we can provide the services for the long term that our residents need and demand.